Hello, welcome once again to Justified Nonetheless. I am Kevin Berger, and I apply the principles of polemics and skepticism to atheism and the claims made by atheists. Once again, in this video, there will be no discussion with the artificial intelligence, nor will there be links to other videos. It will be just you and I discussing the many fallacies that I see put forth to substantiate the existence of non-belief and or to eschew that burden of proof. I have often come across ad hominems, attempts to poison a well through claims of copy pasta, gish gallop, talking points, word salad, things of that nature, red herrings, all of which I've come to know and love. But there are some of these that I've come across on a regular basis, so I thought I mentioned those specifically. The first would be the distinction without a difference fallacy. When I ask people to tell me the difference between definitional atheists, what I call definitional atheists, and propositional atheists, I can't seem to get a meaningful answer. Sometimes when I ask this question, they'll say that the difference is that propositional atheists believe that no deity exists and that they're unsure. Okay, well, that just means that you're not certain, that you don't know, and propositional atheists don't claim that they know either. So that's not really a difference at all. Sometimes they'll say that propositional atheists are convinced that a deity exists, and definitional atheists don't believe in the existence or non-existence because they need more evidence or better reasoning. This conflates propositional atheists with Gnostic atheists because they are also convinced that no deity exists. It also implies that neither Gnostic atheists nor propositional atheists are open to considering new information or evidence. And finally, it conflates certainty or being convinced with belief. And again, neither of those are components of belief that are necessary. Another one I encounter regularly is the non sequitur. The difference of expression does not equate to a difference in reality. The syllogism would be expressed effectively like this. Premise 1, propositional atheists express belief in the non-existence of any deity. Premise 2, definitional atheists express non-belief in the existence of a deity. Conclusion, a genuine distinction in mental states exists in reality. That conclusion does not logically follow from the stated premises, and therein lies the problem. Then we have the conceptual fallacy. Just because we can conceive of a distinction does not mean that it exists in reality. I see no good reason or evidence to come to the conclusion that non-belief is any more real than gravitons, tachyons, white holes, and wormholes, which are all very interesting hypothetical concepts that have yet to be substantiated in reality. Then we have the appeal to the excluded middle. It hasn't been demonstrated that this is not a binary situation. That is what conforms to reality. That there's this third possible option is the claim that's being disputed. Then we have the false equivalency, such as withholding judgment is not the same as withholding belief. Certainty is not the same thing as belief, and so on. Then we have the special pleading. I don't need empirical evidence for this claim. Then there is the psychologist fallacy. I have no good reason to believe, therefore I don't, which implies that the person is objective, and we don't have justification for that. It also implies that the person has the ability to choose to believe or to not believe. And not only do we not have evidence for that, we have abundant evidence to the contrary, which makes that an extraordinary claim that requires extraordinary evidence. Then we have the omniscience fallacy. I am the expert of my own mind, which, because belief can be subconscious, requires that the person be able to access subconscious thoughts, which what makes that an omniscience fallacy. Then there's the appeal to personal anecdote, the trust me bro defense. Then there is burden shifting. Prove that I believe that no God exists. Didn't make that claim. What I'm saying is, as far as I can tell, this is what the situation is, but I'm not asserting that as knowledge. They're asserting that they know that they don't believe this. They have the burden of proof. Then there is the fallacy of proving too much. Basically, the premise that we touched on in an earlier video, that implicit atheism is an absurdity. It is nonsensical, because to categorize something as an absence of belief when the necessary conditions for the formation of belief have not been met ends up with situations that don't make any kind of sense at all. We have the Mott and Bailey. Even if we do allow for implicit atheism, that still doesn't substantiate an absence of belief or lack of belief among people where the necessary conditions for the formation of belief have been met. Then we have an appeal to vacuous truth, where they begin to invoke this idea of the conscious acceptance versus subconscious belief. Again, even if we apply for that, even if we allow for that, because subconscious belief could also inform action, it doesn't matter. That's not helping your case at all. And then we get into a couple of these that I have coined myself. Maybe they'll catch on, maybe they won't. One would be the number one fallacy I see committed by atheists, which I have thus dubbed the atheist fallacy. It's a special case of burden shifting, where the person attempts to eschew the burden of proof by denying that they've made a claim or that they have a burden of proof for that claim. And typically that's employed by intentionally leaving that claim implicit. For example, they'll say, I'm not claiming that there's a distinct mental state of non-belief. However, the problem is, because beliefs are mental states, and because atheism is being defined as an absence of belief, the necessary implicit claim there is that a distinct mental state of non-belief exists in reality. There's no way to get around that. The last one is what I call the Moon Knight fallacy, which comes from a particular comic book character meme that I've seen, in which this character has some throwing implements that they're using in a fight, and the character is yelling, "Random bullshit, go." I apologize for the profanity there. But the idea here is it's a special case of a red herring, where the person resorts to literally anything to avoid meeting the burden of proof. It may be a traditional red herring. It may be a question. It may be a quip that's supposed to be funny or change the subject or whatever the case may be. It may be an emoji, a meme, literally anything to avoid meeting that burden of proof. But these are the fallacies that I've come across on a regular basis, so I thought it was worth noting these before I get to the final nail in the coffin, as far as I'm concerned, with regard to this idea of non-belief. So until next time, I implore you, just because your beliefs may not necessarily be true, they should be justified nonetheless.